Hello and welcome to another episode of Hood Parenting Live. Welcome to another episode of Hood Parenting Live. Listen, I am your host, Yashika Foster, and if this is your first time here, hello and welcome. And I hope that we can become friends. I hope that after today, we can become friends. I hope that you will say in your mind that, you know what, let me come back every Sunday and chit chat with Yashika on Hood Parenting Live because I already know that she got some information, some good stuff to put out to us. I already know that she is gonna be teaching us some things. Let me there I go. I had y'all know I'm a one woman show. So because I am a one woman show, I have to make sure that I am live. I have to make sure that I can hear myself and I have to make sure that I'm not freezing up. So while y'all come into the room, just go ahead and drop something. Let me know you are here because I'm watching you over here and then I'm watching you here and then I have something else going on over here. Okay. So I got three different streams in which I am going to be able to address any questions or anything. Again, if this is your first time here, welcome to Hood Parenting Live. This is where I sit down on a weekly basis and we just have a conversation, right? We have a conversation and I bring you some things that I know that you need to hear or you want to hear or some things that you need to put in your little tool bag so that when you need it, it's there and you can go ahead and pull it out. So this is what Hood Parents Alive is about. It's about me having a conversation with you. And I got both of my drinks, okay? Because it's after 6 o'clock. Okay. Y'all know I did my thing. It's Sunday. I didn't went to church. I didn't did all the things. Okay. I done did all the things I'm supposed to do. And while we here, let me just give a shout out to my son, okay? Because this is my platform and I can do this. Give a shout out to my son. Today is his 22nd birthday. So 22 years ago, honey, I was being a mama for the second time. I was being, I ain't gonna be graphic about it and let y'all know how I was giving birth because I didn't push. I didn't push. His head was too big. I didn't push. Okay, I didn't push. They had to get him out of there. Okay, it was a Sunday then too. 22 years ago, it was a Sunday. He finally came. Okay, but happy birthday, baby boy. Happy birthday and many more. Happy birthday. Now we've gotten that out the way. Listen, today we are talking about parenting on empty. Parenting on empty. What happens when you are not able to refill yourself? And so you start to parent on empty. Listen, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Okay, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I remember times where I lost edges. Okay, I lost edges. I had pimples. I had breakouts. Listen, because when I tell you I was pouring into everybody else and not myself, baby, your girl was out, strung out. Didn't even know how to pour into myself because in my mind, I don't know where we got this from. Maybe the ancestors can tell me. Maybe the older women that are older than me can tell me. But where do we get this from where we supposed to have Superwoman capes on? Now, I can't tell you if this is something that a man does because I've never been a man a day in my life. Okay. So if you are a man, go ahead and comment down below and let me know if this is something, if this is a way a man feels, where he parenting so much or he's giving so much to the world that he doesn't have any more left for himself. I'm not talking about your money. I'm talking about your time, your energy, your pouring into your love, your all the things that women do. Parent on so much that we're doing it on empty and we're not even pouring into ourselves. So let's get into it. So what I recognize is that everything that we do, our kids watch us, whether it's the good stuff or the bad stuff. They're watching. They're watching. And it's one of those things where I remember when I first realized just how much kids pay attention to us. And I know that I talked about this incident before on maybe on this platform, But I remember a time where I was married to my first husband, and there was something that occurred. And at the time that it happened, and not to rebuild and go down that history again, but if you need me to, go ahead and drop it down below. I'll tell you the story, honey, because I got loads of stories to tell. Got loads of stories to tell. Well, if I haven't told it, I don't mind telling it. But anyway, something happened, and when it happened, I reacted. And when I reacted, my son at the time, who wasn't even a year old, he was almost a year old. I think he was like 11 months, 10 and a half, 11 months. But he wasn't even a year old. And he responded to my reaction to something that his dad had did. And his reaction to it was to cry. And when he cried, it made me realize that he understands more than I thought. So it was at that moment, and I was 22, turning 23. And it was at that moment that I recognized that kids see everything, and they're watching us even when they're that young, right? Because he thought his father had hurt me when I let out a ouch, and he didn't, but my son thought he did. And so I don't know if that was other things that he had heard or seen, but I know in this particular moment was when it dawned on me that even at that age, they see everything. They're watching everything, and they're understanding more than we realizing. So we really have to be careful about the things that we do around our kids and how we solve problems, how we deal with emotions, how we deal with tragedies, how we deal with triumphs, how we deal with all things, because they're watching us. I even notice how my daughter even watches me on things that I do now, right? When it comes to my like the way she sees about herself, the way that she's very particular about smelling good and things like that. Y'all know this is the first time I ever had a daughter like this. You know what I'm saying? I had my bonus daughters, but a daughter from birth, I never knew. So I'm watching her and I'm like, oh my God, this little girl is turning into a mini me. Literally a mini me. And so that's why I have to make sure that I'm very particular about what I do, about the people that I have around me, about all the things, right? The way I carry myself, because she is really watching me. My boys watch me, but as a girl, she's really watching me. So when it comes to us parenting on empty, this is why it's important for us to make sure that we take care of ourselves. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, then our children will see us struggle. Our children will see us depressed. Our children will see us doing things or reacting to things that we don't want them to see, because we haven't managed ourselves properly, or we haven't refilled our cups the way we refill other people's cups. So every time I go live, my throat hurts. I think it's the constant talking. But we march on, honey. We march on. And then on top of that, I got old smoker's cough. And I don't smoke cigarettes or nothing. I don't smoke cigarettes, okay? I don't smoke anything you gotta buy off the corner. I don't smoke cigars, but I smoke the stuff you need a card for. So forgive me. Okay. All right. The reality of parenting on empty. If you didn't know it, there's a reality to this. So if we're not taking care of ourselves, these are the realities, right? We pour from a cup that's dry. And we already know we can't do that. How do we pour from a cup that's empty and dry? There's no way. But that's what happens when we're parenting on empty, when we don't pour into ourselves, when we don't feed back into ourselves. So even when it comes to showing up for our kids, because we haven't given to ourselves or fed into ourselves, sometimes we won't give them our best either, because we're running on E. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't feed from an empty cup. It's dry as hell. It's dry. The cup is dry. Okay? You didn't let all the stuff run out because you haven't refilled back into yourself. Your kids see this too. So in their mind, in order to be a good parent, they may start to say, well, these are the things I have to do. right? So again, we cannot parent from an empty cup. We have to constantly pour into ourselves, right? Excuse me. And then the silent lessons that we're teaching. And what I mean by the silent lessons that we're teaching, if we're not explaining to them and talking to them and getting them to see different parts, or even when our cup is empty, if we're not showing them how we pour back into ourselves, whether it's through relaxing, whether it's through rest, whether it's through pampering yourself, buying yourself something, do whatever you need to do, working out, taking care of yourself, like treating your skin, whatever you need to do, they see you pour into yourself, right? So when they know you're empty and they don't see you doing these things to yourself to pour back into yourself, that's the same thing as being silent. Like you're not showing them how to fill their cup back up. So these things that you do and see, or that you do that they see, this is how they see you pour back into yourself. Listen, I think my daughter believes that I don't have a job, that I ain't never worked a day in my life. I think she believes that. I do. I think she believes that. Because y'all know she was born in 2013. Okay, so she was born in 2013, December. We came home. I came home with her January of 2014. Okay, I retired from the Army June of 2016. So in terms of that job, she only seen me. She didn't see me. She don't remember me being in the Army. So she don't remember, she don't remember. She don't know anything about me being stressed out. She don't know anything about me having to get up early, stay away late. She don't know anything about none of that. All she knows is that she got this house and it got these luxuries. We drive these fancy cars. We go to brunch on Sundays, and she goes shopping when she need to, or when she want to, or when I want to. Okay, that's all she know. And so I have to remind her, honey, these things are earned, not given. And so I say this because just like that, I have to explain to her that, listen, just because you don't see me work as hard as your brother saw me work, that doesn't mean that I'm not still working. It's just that I've learned to be smarter about it now, because I don't have to put in the same energy. Not only that, but the requirements are not the same, because I worked really, really hard. But what I do show her is that even still, this is how I do my life, and this is how I pour back into myself. So if I have to go and sit in my sauna, right? I didn't pay but $200 for it off Amazon. I do that. If I have to go sit in my massage chair, if I have to give myself a facial, these are things that I do to pour back into myself. Why? Because she needs to see this. She doesn't just need to see me trying to figure out how to keep this ship going, or how to make sure my stuff is taken care of and everybody else who depends on me is taken care of. She don't have to just see that part. I want her to see how I take care of myself, because like I explained to her often, at this point in life, I've realized, and I wish that someone had told me earlier, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save you. It is up to you to save yourself. Now, in life, you may very well be blessed and you might meet somebody that you can walk hand in hand with. But that's all that person is going to do, is walk hand in hand with you and hold your hand. But they are not there to save you. You have to save yourself. It's just that simple, because you have to be able to be okay whether that person is there or not. Although they can hold your hand. And honey, it's beautiful when you get somebody to hold your hand. It's lovely when you get somebody to hold your hand and make you feel good. But at the end of the day, you got to save yourself. So once you understand that, then you'll know that everything you do, you need to always, whatever you give out, you need to put it back into yourself. So if you out here saving babies and saving dogs and stuff, you need to make sure you do something to save yourself too. You can't have your life over here screwed up while you too busy over here rescuing everybody else's. That's not how it works. Eventually, you burn the candle at both ends, and before you know it, you're out. You're out. Because you done burnt the candle at both ends, you're out. So now what you gonna do? Not what you're going to do. You don't want to wait till you way at the bottom to start pouring back into yourself. Because once you get those years on yourself, or you age yourself, or you start to take on those things, let me tell you something. Once I started getting gray hair, it wasn't no stopping it. Once I started getting gray hair, it wasn't no stopping it. Once I started getting these wrinkles and stuff, it wasn't no stopping it. Now, can I do things to make sure that they don't become as obvious and stuff? Absolutely. I don't have to frown as much. You know what I'm saying? I don't have high stress jobs like I did before. Those are things, or better yet, I know how to take care of myself. But what I'm saying is that don't wait until you're there first before you start taking care of yourself. You want to do this before. The grind gonna be there. Trust me when I tell you, the hustle and the grind, oh, it's gonna be there, because you'll never have enough. I don't know if anybody told you, but you'll never have enough. You'll never have enough. So the hustle and the grind is always gonna be there. But if you don't take care of yourself, you will sit back and look at the hustle and grind, and it'll be passing you by. Why? Because you're on your back. You're on your back because you didn't take care of yourself. You didn't pour into yourself. Okay? The cost of never refilling your cup. Parenting on empty leads to resentment, short tempers, emotional distance, and our kids feeling as if we don't say it, or we don't care. Our kids feeling some kind of way, right? Our kids feeling some kind of way. When I think about that, I think about the fact that I remember this phase of my life. I really do. I remember that phase in my life where I know that I was parenting on empty. And this was right after my divorce and right after I got my daughter. So at this point, the year was like 2014, 2015. So at this point, I was divorced for a few years, but he and I had stopped dealing with each other in 2000 and whatever. So now I'm completely single. So now I got my two sons. One of them was going into his freshman year. He might have already been a freshman in college. Then I had my youngest son at the time, and he, the one that turned 22 today, he was, I don't know, whatever back then, I don't know. He was 9 or 10, I can't remember. And then here I was with this baby. So you figure 2014, 15, she's a year or two. And I had my mom with me as well. So I have a big responsibility. I have a lot of people that was dependent on me. I'm in the military, and I have a lot going on. And I just remember everything on me starting to break down. My body was breaking down. And everything was breaking down. But I think what was my saving grace during that time was that I really, really got into running a lot. Because I was running like before, but I really got into running. I was doing a lot of running. And what it did for me was it allowed me to pour into myself. Because when you think about people use different things to get over things. And I didn't realize just how much running helped me during that time. But I also remember that it wasn't enough, because there were times where my sons, they couldn't come and talk to me, right? Because I was very short tempered. It was like, what you want? What you need? Come on. What you got? Come on. We got to hurry this thing up. I ain't got time. We ain't got time. Because literally, I'm trying to keep it all together. And I was running on empty. When I tell you running on empty, I was running on empty. And so I just remember my boys, my mom saying that to me about how when my boys needed something, they would go to her. And because they also knew that it was going to be less resistance, it was going to be less, whatever. And then on top of that, if it was something crazy or whatever, they already know we're not doing none of that. We're not doing no stupid stuff. So don't come to me with no stupid stuff. You better figure it out, because they already know a lot of times that was what I was going to tell them. If it was something that I thought that they can do or they could figure out on their own, figure it out on your own. Whereas that with my mom, she would just do it for them. So it was less resistance. Whereas that also, it was part of just me. I didn't want to keep on just I had a lot going on. It was just a lot going on. And I didn't know how to get myself out of it until I got through it. Because I knew wasn't nobody coming to save me. I knew that it was myself, my two boys, my daughter, and my mom. And I am the captain of that ship. Always and still is. And so when it came to that, the things that I had to do to make sure that I poured into myself, I didn't always make smart decisions. I didn't always do things I was supposed to do. I probably, Lord knows, I probably had some dates I shouldn't have had while I was going through those things, right? But I also knew that I had to keep it together up here because there was a lot going on. And when there's a lot going on, you don't think clearly. But I had to constantly pour into myself. And so this is when I really start getting into this is when I started doing makeup. I started like leaning into things that was making me feel good, right? Things the running. I was focused on my body. I was focused on just things like that because it was like those were the things that I could control. Everything else was out of my control. It was like life was just happening and I had to just go through the season. I had to go through those adjustment seasons. And when I went through those adjustment seasons, I had to find ways to start pouring into myself. And I think that it really started to really calm down for me. I would say, hell, probably when we went into COVID. I won't say it was that long because COVID was 2020. But I know for a fact in 2016 when I retired, I was still trying to making sure because I wanted to make sure I didn't go backwards. So now I'm retiring from the military. I still got these people that depend on me. I'm not married anymore. And so you go from from two incomes to one income. How do I keep everything going? How do I make sure that I continue to take care of myself? Right. And so for everybody, it's different. But I just remember going through those points in my life that I had to dig deep. I had to pray. And it was a lot. And I'm not even going to sit up here and pretend like it wasn't because it was a lot. But what I do know is that I had to be the one to get myself out of it. I had to be the one that kept on picking myself up, even when I didn't want to, even when things were looking like, listen, girl, you ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna make it, girl. I mean, it was looking like that. Like I'm just gonna listen. I'm about to break down on a bended knee at this point. Just you know what? Just go. Everybody go away. That's where I was, right? But I had to keep on pouring into myself. I had to keep on giving myself affirmations. I had to keep on telling myself I can do this. Because I had never been in that situation before where here I was, had 4 people that depended on me. And out of those 4 people, one is a baby, one is a middle-aged, a preteen, and then 2 adults. Because at this point, my son was grown and my mother's an adult. My oldest son was grown. So I'm looking at this like, this is just too much. This is too much. And I got to still work and I got to still go to college and I got to still figure out all these other things too. Because while all this was still going on, I was still getting my master's degree, right? Because I didn't get my master's degree until 2016. I didn't finish that until 2016. So I was still doing those things, but I had to still figure it out. So I had to remember to pour into myself. And the way I poured into myself was I made sure that I kept my outside looking good. Because why? If I looked at it, and listen, it helped me. It made me show up whole because if I'm looking good, I'm here. Like, listen, what they say, fake it till you make it. Whatever. This is just life. I'm not no different than nobody else. Life is life and for everybody. At some point in the matter, life's for everybody. Right? It's just that it was tagged you with Yashika. It was my turn. And so I was going through it and I had to continue to pour into myself. I had to continue to affirm myself. I had to continue to just make myself understand that Yashika, you got this. Give myself those motivational talks that I needed. Okay. So when it came to what my refill looked like, sometimes it did look selfish. Sometimes when I would refill myself, because that meant that I would have to go out of town to run marathons, go to Atlantic City to go to the hair show, whatever I needed to do to focus on things that were helping me, because I was a licensed beautician and, I liked to do other stuff. So, but those were things that was making me feel good because it was also preparing me for other possibilities. So, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know which job I'm going to do. I don't know none of this. All I know is that I got to keep going because I got too many people that depend on me. That ain't going to change. That ain't gonna ever change until I leave this earth. As long as I'm here, there are gonna always be people that depend on me. This I know. This was the agreement from the very beginning. Okay. So with that being said, I got to keep going. So I had to sometimes be selfish. Sometimes that means me coming home and waving to everybody. Hey kids, hey mama. Okay. Cause my husband, I ain't had no husband no more. Hey kids, hey mama. All right, y'all, I'll see y'all later. Let me go in my room. And I'm in my room until it's time for me to get up the next morning and go to work. Why? Because sometimes that was what it looked like. Because listen, it's like that sometimes. And you have to apologize and you have to keep it moving. You have to tell them, I'm sorry, but I have to do this. And even to this day, I tell my people, listen, I don't want to talk about any of that today. Not today, because I already know I got to solve this problem. I was on the phone with my mom today. I already know I got to solve this problem, mama. I already know it. I already know that I got to solve it. So right now, I don't have the capacity to think about it because I know it's going to work itself out. Right now, I got other things I got to take care of right now. And right now, that's not priority. It might be priority to you, but it's not priority to me. Why? Because there's nothing I can do about this problem. This problem is going to be here. Now, all I got to do now is figure out how to make sure that when the problem comes up all the time, that I am capable of solving it. That's it. Because it's going to be a problem from here on out. So how do we make sure that when it comes up, it doesn't hit us by storm? That's it. Because we can't control that. It's forever, right? Taxes and death. Those things are coming. And one of the things we're talking about is the doggone taxes. We got to take care of it. So I already know this is something I got to take up. I can't. Does it sound selfish? Yeah, probably so. But I can't worry about it. Why? Because I already know I'm going to be the one that takes care of it at the end of the day. And that's it. And you have to be like that when you have to be like that. And luckily for me, my people, my family understands me. They understand that, okay, I'll tell them, listen, I don't listen. They tell me they use a C word on me all the time. They'll say, yeah, Shika, you crazy. Okay, I might be. Okay, but I'm gonna need y'all to fall back right now. I don't have the capacity. I'll be like, okay, I'm overstimulated because I be using words like that. I'm overstimulated. I'm overstimulated. I'm going home, and I bounce because I know me and I know how to feed into me, and I know that when it comes to me being the captain of this ship, that I have responsibilities, and that's why when it comes to parenting and what I have to do, I still have an 11-year-old here. And so because I still have an 11-year-old here, I have to still parent her. So for me to still parent her, I have to still be okay. For me to be okay, I have to pour into myself. I have to make sure that no matter what I do, I keep refilling my cup. Not from here. I want to refill the saucer. I don't ever want to give from my cup. I want to always give from my overflow. And that's the way you should run your life as well. Always give from your overflow, not from your cup. Because we cannot parent, we cannot do anything if we're doing it on empty. Because our kids, they watch us, they see us. We're not going to do it perfect. I can tell you that right now. So if no one told you parenting is not perfect and it's not easy. And with every child is different. Because I can tell you right now, my 22-year-old, the one that turned 22 today, if all my kids was like him, listen, I would have had no problems. If all my kids was like him, I wouldn't have no problems. I'm talking about even my 2 bonus daughters. If my oldest son and my baby girl and my 2 bonus daughters was like my baby boy, I wouldn't have no problem because he's so responsible. He's so responsible. He just a grown up. He been a grown up for a long time. He done had an old soul a long time. He don't do nothing. He just mild mannered. You know what I'm saying? But we already know that's not the case. Every child ain't the same. And that's just him being him. That's just who he is. He just happened to be that one, right? And I be looking at him like something wrong with him too, but you know. But that's what your refill looks like. Your refill is gonna look like you being selfish sometimes. It's gonna look like you not giving to everybody else. It's gonna look like sometimes you just being selective. You just being like, you know what? I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm doing all the things. Whatever I need to do to make sure that I'm okay. That's what it's going to look like sometimes. And you don't have to explain that to anybody. Because what I do know is that when I always say I'm the captain of the ship, if this captain goes down, the whole ship go down. literally. So I can't go down. And for me to make sure that I'm okay, I have to always, 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 always pour into myself. The first thing I do, one of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning, besides praying and meditating, and because that's a gimme, two things I do every single day. That's give myself some type of facial. Like I do something to my face, whether I put those eye things up under my eyes or I put a whole mask on my face or alternate. One day it's this, the next day it's that. I literally do that for myself. Another thing I do is I go outside on the grass in my backyard and I walk barefoot. That's called earthing, right? If you've never heard of it before, it's called earthing. It's that point in my life where I'm able to connect with Mother Nature, with Earth, with all the things, and I can hear, it's early in the morning that I do this. I can hear the crows outside, the birds, I can hear all the animals. Listen, I can hear the crickets, I can hear everybody early in the morning, okay? Everybody be up early in the morning, just be talking. All of them be up to talking, and I'm right there with them, and I listen. And so that allows me to just not think about anything. But it's one of those things where I do both of those things every morning. It's my way of pouring into myself. And I can't explain that enough. If I don't do one of those things, I feel like my whole day is thrown off. I do. And I will find time to get those things done because I need those things as part of my self-care. It's part of me pouring into myself and making sure I'm good. So another thing I do, and I know I said two, but there's another thing I do. While I'm opening up the blinds in my house, I make sure that I light an incense. This is part of my prayer and my blessings. But I light an incense or not an incense, but y'all know those things. The sage. I light a sage. And as I'm opening up the blinds in my house, I sage my whole house. I do that. I talk to, but those are part of my rituals that helps my day get started. But it's also part of me pouring into myself. Before I do anything else, before I start my day, before my daughter gets up, if it's a school day, whatever, I do those three things. And they help me to start my day. So maybe you could start one of those things as well. Maybe those things are something that you can do for yourself to help pour into yourself. Because we need this. And one thing I know about parenting is that parenting is forever once you become a parent. So just because they turn 18 or whatever the case may be, they don't stop. They don't stop. My 22-year-old, he in the house today. He's sick. It's his birthday. I was like, well, son, I was going to take you to dinner. Well, I guess you could Uber dinner. Okay. But he's 22, my 30-year-old. Listen, we're still parents. And so we have to still be okay for them because they're still trying to work out their way in this world too. And they're going to always come back home. They're going to always come and ask you for advice. They're going to always need something. And so while you're still giving to your children, you have to continue to still give to yourself. It doesn't stop. That's forever and always. And so listen, I don't know who this is for, but I hope that this can help somebody and understand that as parents, we cannot parent from an empty place, from an empty cup, from an empty nothing. We can't do anything from empty. We have to make sure that we take care of ourselves because like I said, no one's coming to save us. They can hold your hand, right? Make sure you have somebody warm and all that, somebody to, make you feel good. But for the most part, you got to save yourself. And so listen, if this is your first time here, hello and welcome and come back. Okay. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications because until I get this Sunday schedule packed, okay, till I get this Sunday schedule packed. Now, I think I might still stick with 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm not sure yet because I don't start drinking wine until after 6. Okay. So my Sunday Hood Parenting Live may very well be at 6 o'clock or 1800 for you military people out there. I don't know. I'm not sure yet, but I'm liking this time. Okay. Anyway, I will let y'all know. So listen, if this is your first time here, turn on your notifications. Make sure you share this with somebody. And on Wednesday, I drop Hood Wisdom Wednesdays. Hood Wisdom Wednesdays. So I drop 3 times a week. Sundays, I do this live right here. On Wednesdays, we have Hood Wisdom Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, we have the Resiliency Chair. That's when I answer all your questions and address any concerns that you may have. So if you have something you want me to answer or questions you have, go ahead and drop it below Or if it's a video you need me to make, go ahead and drop that below too. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.